Hi everyone, welcome to Have You Heard? It's back to the dark glasses today, I'm afraid, because my bruised eye is not looking any better and I don't want to scare people away. I felt I did that yesterday. Today it's Depeche Mode. We are coming back to them, but we're listening to a later album. It is Ultra from 1997. And we're listening to a song that actually blew my mind when I first heard it. It's called Barrel of a Gun. It's been done a few times on YouTube, but I think it deserves a listen on the channel. And we're going quite far away from our 60s and 70s, aren't we? 1997. But I'll tell you a story about how I discovered this particular song afterwards, as I always tend to do. But Depeche Mode, we have had quite a lot of positive responses to Depeche Mode on the channel, so it'll be interesting to see what people think of this one. How many people tell me that they've really enjoyed it. They're almost 30 years since this was made. It blows my mind, it really does. But anyway, it's Depeche Mode, it's Barrel of a Gun, which was the lead single and opening track from Ultra, which was released in 1997. Let's have a listen to it now, if I can see what I'm doing. Barrel of a Gun, Depeche Mode.
Appetite visits me each night and won't be satisfied, won't be denied. An unbearable pain, a beating in my brain that leaves the mark of Cain right here inside. Are you having your fun? I never agreed to be your holy one. Whatever I've done, been staring down the barrel of a gun. Whatever I've done, I've been staring down the barrel of a gun. Whatever I've done, I've been staring down the barrel of a gun.
It's much darker, isn't it? Now, Depeche Mode have always been dark, of course they have, but this just felt at the time so much darker, heavier, more industrial. Certainly with Martin Gore's guitar there, that guitar really does give it um, a heavier feel, and the kind of the beginning of the song where he's I don't know what the musical term is, but he's really kind of playing around with the guitar, and the synths are ominous. And throughout the entire song, you've got this ominous feel. Okay, the subject matter, barrels of guns, yeah, it's scary. And it just completely took me by surprise. Now, the history, of course, for Depeche Mode at this time was really dark as well, because their previous album had been songs of faith and devotion, was it called? And they had that album had done fairly well, but of course it was recorded right in the middle of David Gahan's near fatal drug overdose, and it was touch and go. Well, firstly, whether he'd live, and secondly, whether they would ever play again. And of course, after that album, Alan Wilder, um, generally considered to be kind of like the musical arranger within the group, had said no, he's had enough and he doesn't see how the band can continue anyway. So he was leaving, which brought them back to the trio of Dave and Martin Gore and Andy Fletcher. And I guess certainly, although Martin writes the songs, there must have been some kind of repercussions for the rest of the band, getting through the horrific stuff that Dave was going through or had gone through. So the album references all these darkness, the dark stories that was happening at the time. I remember reading in Q magazine, and we'll get to Q magazine in a second, one of the most brutal interviews I have ever read in a music magazine, when they just talked with Dave Gahan through everything that happened, and it is it's enough to put you off drugs for life. Let me just leave it at that. Now, after the huge success of Violator, and then the following album where Dave almost died, coming up to this album, I just thought, well, I didn't know anything about this album coming out, and I hadn't really heard much. I'd been scanning Q magazine for information. Now I used to get Q in South Africa about 3 months after it was issued or published in the UK. That's how we got our magazines really, but it was much cheaper. So everything that was left over that hadn't been sold in the UK, they'd send off to places like South Africa to retailers there. And you could buy the magazine for about a third of the face value price, which was great for me. And I heard this song for the first time on this sampler CD, the best of 97. At the end of each year, Q would tape these sampler CDs to the cover. And so you got about 14 tracks of what the magazine considered to be the best songs of the year. And they were great because you got to hear stuff. I got to hear stuff that I wouldn't have heard before. And on this particular 97, I mean, I can't read it. I'm going to try and remember it. I'm going to stare at it as if I can read it, but I can't. But on here, there was Radiohead, one of the tracks from OK Computer. There was Bush. Remember Bush? They were UK grunge type heavy band. They were on here. I heard them for the first time here. Erykah Badu, soul singer, she was on. Depeche Mode, lots of Britpop bands, because of course in 97, 95, 96, 97, all those Britpop bands, Oasis are on there. Fade In, Fade Out, off the one album I bought from Oasis. I don't really like them very much, but I bought it because I like that song off this album. Very good for sales generation. But anyway, Depeche Mode, I heard Barrel of a Gun on this, and that was it. And I went out and bought the album. And I'm glad I did, because Ultra is an absolutely fantastic album. It's dark, it's a little bit challenging, but it's so rewarding with more and more listens. Absolutely brilliant. And of course, that was nearly 30 years ago, and they are still going strong to this day. Still doing brilliant live performances, I gather, in huge venues. Appearing on all the top US talk shows. It's fantastic. Of course, Andy Fletcher's died, so it's just Martin and Dave, and obviously other guys to help flesh out the sound on stage. But what I've heard of their latest album, Memento Mori, which is, I think, a couple of years old now anyway, that's been fascinating as well. So a band that came out of the synth pop of the 80s, became dark industrial in the 90s, and still holding all of their fans to today. You just got to doff your caps to Depeche Mode. And I'm really interested to hear what our Depeche Mode fans have to say about this particular song. So please put some comments in the comments section. Please tell me what you think. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet. And also check out our Buy Me a Coffee and Patreon channels. Please do. There's lots of stuff there to get interested in. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on the next episode, which will be a Tuesday. It's a moody Tuesday. So I promised that if we would get to 600 subscribers, I would play Nights in White Satin. And we are now on 601. So, yeah. You Know Who will be playing You Know What tomorrow on Moody Tuesday. So I look forward to seeing you all then. But until then, Cheers, everybody.